This morning, I came into my greenhouse and it smelled incredible. And the plant that is in flower was an unlikely source, Tillandsia usneoides, commonly called Spanish moss. And in this video, I'm going to share with you my 5 care tips for this plant, which I've done before, but with them all in bloom at the moment, it felt right to give you an update. So what would be my first tip for caring for Spanish moss air plant? Now, I would say you need to consider light, almost most importantly with this. Now these silvery leaves, as with many other plants, indicates that they're from high light environments. And its natural habitat would actually be in kind of warm coastal parts of America, from Texas, Florida, down through other southern states, through Mexico and down into the Caribbean, where that bright sunshine is going to give it the conditions it needs. So we need to mimic that wherever we're growing ours. Now, if you grow it outside, make sure you're giving it a nice sunny position. It's middle of winter here in the UK where I'm growing mine. So I'm hanging them inside my heated greenhouse up nice and high, so they're kind of making the most of all of that winter sun. If you're growing it indoors, put it in front of a sunny windowsill, or perhaps you have to use grow lights like I do because my house is quite dark. So I'm giving it a prominent position underneath one of those beautiful grow light bulbs that you can get now. And that will really help it remain happy and thrive. The next thing you want to consider to keep your Spanish moss air plants happy is airflow. Now, in its natural habitat, it would grow hanging from the branches of larger host trees, things like the huge ancient oaks that you get in Florida. And in that position, air is just going to flow through it and keep all of that circulation to prevent rot and just keep the plant happy. So if you are growing it outside, put it somewhere where it's not going to sit wet for too long, because these plants are going to resent that. And if you're growing it indoors, make sure occasionally, perhaps in the warmer summer months, you take it outside to just get some airflow, let it dry out a bit. And again, that's going to prevent rot in your air plant, and it's going to keep it happy and growing it to its kind of the fullest of its potential. Now, when it comes to watering your air plants, you have 2 options. One, you can get a spray bottle, a little bit like this, and just spray them. Now, I do mine twice a week in summer and once a week in winter, just because it's a little bit cooler, so they don't dry out as often. And although Tillandsia usneoides, Spanish moss air plant, it won't wilt like most plants will, where the leaves look sad, you'll know it needs water. It will actually start to shrivel up, and the leaves won't be as fat and full. So you know that that's when it's ready for a quick spray. Now, if you haven't got a bottle to spray with, you can just unhook your plant and dunk the whole thing into a bucket of water and leave it there for 20 or 30 minutes and allow the leaves to soak up as much of that moisture as possible. And then take it out and make sure you hang it somewhere with good airflow, like I said, so that it can then drip dry and it will be nice and happy. Again, if I'm doing that bucket method, I'll do it twice a week in summer and once a week in winter. And occasionally, I will add a drip or 2 of liquid houseplant food into the spray bottle that I'm using, and that just makes sure this plant gets some goodness. One thing I get asked a lot when people look at how healthy my air plants are is it okay to water them with tap water? Now, if I'm honest, rainwater is preferred. As I say, rainwater is just naturally nutritious for plants, and it's what they evolved to grow on and grow alongside. But you can use tap water, and I have frequently used tap water to water the air plants that I grow, and that's absolutely fine. But the caution or precaution that you want to take with watering air plants with tap water is that if you're in an area that has hard tap water, has a high limescale content, then that could calcify on your plant and it could coat the leaves, preventing them from being able to function fully and eventually damaging the health of your plant. So you'll know that if you're in a hard water area, if kind of the tiles or the glass in your shower get covered in limescale, that's a sign that you're probably best using rainwater to water these. So what temperature can Spanish moss take? How hardy is Spanish moss? Now, as I say, they originate from tropical parts of the world, so they're used to those luxurious warm temperatures, and that's why they thrive in these warm coastal areas. Now, I'm in the UK, and we are far from tropical here, and you can see that mine are happy. Now, this greenhouse is heated to a minimum of 5 degrees Celsius, and that temperature is also the threshold that I use for when I can move them outside. So when our nighttime temperatures here in the UK are above 5 degrees Celsius, I know that it's safe to grow these outside as we're moving into the warm summer months. I overwinter them in the greenhouse to keep them safe, but as an experiment, I left one bunch outside and it's currently taken -6. It's still there. It's in a warm microclimate, a warm spot underneath the canopy of an evergreen tree, and I'm going to experiment and see how we get on in spring and summer. And if you're interested to know the results of that, subscribe to this channel and you'll get notified when there's an update. If you're growing it indoors, the temperature range of most homes is within that kind of tropical temperature that they evolved to survive in. Anything from like 16 degrees to 24, I think is what most people keep their houses at. Then it will be perfectly happy there, as long as you meet the rest of its requirements with water, light and airflow. Now, if you're in the UK, we're actually selling these bunches on our online shop at the moment at growparadise.co.uk, and we ship nationwide, including Northern Ireland. And anyone else, sign up to our global forum of growers at growparadise.social. It's free to join, and we are just helping each other grow these incredible plants. And if you love growing bromeliads, because Tillandsia is actually a bromeliad, although it doesn't look like it, I've got a video showing you how to grow your own bromeliads and how to grow them onto trees in the UK or any other part of the world where you want to try and create a tropical looking display. So I'll link that and go and watch that video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the support, and I will see you all in the next one.